Well, exactly. So she was the Democratic candidate
Right,
for that, and
right.
she didn't have to step down from her Senate seat because she didn't win, and she wasn't up for re-election that cycle. She's not this cycle either, I think.
But when you talk about Democrats, I don't think that people think of Kathleen Reeby as particularly centrist or Ben McAdams like moderate.
I think she's more progressive, and I think she represents an area in Salt Lake City that reflects that. So she's in. We also have somebody who just announced yesterday, and that's former Senator Derek Kitchen.
Right, senator. He served as a senator. He was also a Salt Lake City council member for some period of time. He was ousted by Jen Plum at the last election. I think that would have been in the primary because they're both Democrats.
Right.
And he's a restaurateur. He's also, I would see him as fairly progressive from the Democratic side. Nobody's heard much about Derek. I like Derek. He was a good candidate. He's a lawyer, I think. Yeah, he's a lawyer. He was the plaintiff,
That's right.
the named plaintiff in the Kitchen versus Gary Herbert case that changed our law as it relates to same-sex marriage.
Right.
And he obviously he's very well spoken in that community as well. And I don't know that that's baggage or good or bad, but I think people see him as an advocate for the LGBTQ community.
Well,
Among other things.
clearly,
Right, yes, right.
Clearly, he's on a very famous lawsuit. Yeah, so those are three already announced candidates in this race, Democratic candidates. I'm hearing rumblings. Nate Bluen's announcing this weekend sometime. He's a current senator.
Right.
Also, of course, these are all Democrats we're talking about.
Right. I thought Nate was in. I don't know why I thought that, but I thought he was in, that he had already jumped in and made the decision to jump in, but he's not. I also, another name that I've heard, and I believe this name will not go much further, is Caroline Gleich. She ran against, she ran for Senate in the last cycle against our new senator.
Yeah, John Curtis.
John Curtis. Why couldn't I think of his name? I love John Curtis. I just couldn't think of his name. Anyway, she ran a pretty impressive race there for Senate. Came out of nowhere. I thought that the Dems might be pushing her a little bit, but she might be coming off of too much drama in that
Well,
race.
it's so it's interesting, right? And Republicans, it's an opportunity for Republicans to watch the Democrats have a whole lot of candidates and go through the primary cycle, which is typically what happens on the Republican side, right? I think with the open seat that Senator Curtis ended up winning, I think there were something like a dozen or more Republicans who initially jumped into that race, and then some of them didn't continue on through the primary. They didn't make it out of the caucus convention and hadn't gathered signatures. But it's not usually the case that you have a whole lot of Democrats jumping in, but this time you do.
And McAdams claims, of course, we haven't seen it, but I don't know that he would claim it if it wasn't true, that he raised something like $500,000 his first week when he announced.
I believe that, and there were national groups backing Ben before the maps were officially drawn, and I don't know. I ended up on some texting list, so I started getting fundraising appeals for that as well, and then I think, because he's a known quantity, because he's been back in Congress before, that he probably has some national groups behind him. But, this race, like every political race, there's the opportunity in Utah to go to conventions. Democrats have a convention just like Republicans do. They can also gather signatures, right? And at some point, we'll have people on a primary ballot. The primary will be in June. But we've talked about this on the show before. Official filing, even though they're announcing now, official filing is the very beginning of January. And then you'll know for sure who's actually doing it.
So this would be for Utah's first congressional district and our current first congressional district representative, Blake Moore.
Yep.
That doesn't necessarily mean it would be his seat or that he would be running for it.
I think he'll run for the second. It'll be the new second congressional district because
Right.
it's north of Salt Lake. And I think it really encompasses most of the area he already represents. So I suspect he'll just run for that. I haven't heard a ton of rumblings about any Republicans who are anxious to run for this new seat. At this point, it might be the sacrificial lamb, right? It's like this district leans pretty Democrat, and so we'll see if there's a serious Republican contender or if somebody says, "Look, I'm willing to jump into the race and have a conversation
I
through
think
November."
a centrist Republican contender,
Maybe.
like and it wouldn't be Spencer Cox, and it wouldn't be Jon Stewart, or
John Curtis.
John Curtis, Chris Stewart. It wouldn't be. I see them as more centrist Republicans. Obviously,
What about like a Becky Edwards, maybe?
or even Blake Moore? I mean, I think Blake could be a strong
Yeah,
candidate.
he's going to just stick in his area, though.
Well, yeah, probably. That'll be interesting to see. I mean, filing period is when?
It's the beginning of January.
Oh, so it's coming right up.
Yeah, it's coming right up. So even though you'll have some, back and forth with, hey, I'm jumping in, there might be people who don't jump in until the filing period. Although that always surprises me. It's like, how can you run a congressional race when you don't even know for sure if you're doing it until you have to file?
Right. Well, my guess is we'll have more than just the 3 that have announced. Even more than the 5 that we've talked about today. There will probably be a fairly crowded field, and my guess is there'll be a significant Republican field as well jumping into this. It'll be a fun race.
I bet there's not a significant Republican field. We'll see.
It's a easy Democratic race. I really don't. I think this one could be close.
I will disagree with you.
Okay.
So the Utah legislature this week had just had their last interim day before the 2026 general session. One interesting bill proposal has to do with how 17-year-olds who commit aggravated murder are treated. And I'm excited to talk to you about that because we've had multiple conversations about juveniles charged as adults. Stay with us.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Do you have chirping smoke detectors? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you've ever experienced chirping smoke detectors, you already know how annoying it can be. A great first step to try and stop the chirping is to change the batteries. If the chirping continues, it's possible that your smoke detector has gone bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize that manufacturers recommend replacing the smoke detector altogether after 10 years. If you remove the smoke detector from the wall, on the back you should find a date of when it was made. Do a little math and you'll know how old it is. Now, Any Hour Services knows being a homeowner means you've got a list a mile long of things to do around the house, and check my electrical system probably isn't one of them. That's why we've put together this radio special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive inspection of your electrical system that includes testing those smoke detectors and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. Call Any Hour Services to schedule at 801-443-7300. 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Pros don't just show up. They prove how it's done, with precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half to earning a higher interest rate on your savings. Enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week. But if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once. Go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Inside Sources.
We're looking at some new legislation, or at least some proposed legislation from the interim session that we've had over the last couple days, and these are bills that may or may not come up in the general session, but there have been a slew, Holly, of cases just even since we've started this show. At Halloween party, a 19-year-old man was arrested in connection with the killing of two 17-year-olds at a Halloween party in West Valley City. A 16-year-old accused of shooting and killing 3 people, including a pregnant woman and an infant, at a West Valley City carnival over the weekend, was charged over several weekends ago, was charged as an adult. And we've had a number of 16 and 17-year-olds. I don't know why this was the summer of the teenage shooter. They were charged as adults, and a lot of people would ask the question, okay, you have an adult jail and you have a juvenile jail. Where do you house the person? Where do they sit while they're facing these charges? And under this bill, the current law would change, and the current law states this, that a 16 or 17-year-old accused of, or convicted, I should say, of an aggravated murder will serve their time in what's called secure care, which is juvenile detention, until they're 25. In other words, the juvenile system will keep their hooks in them until they're 25. Then they can go into the adult system. Under this new bill, because the current law says you're charged as an adult right from the beginning, this bill would say, and you're going to be treated as an adult right from the beginning and held in an adult facility. Now, interestingly, the current law deals with 16 and 17-year-olds who can be charged directly as an adult, but this tweak, this provision for where they would be housed, only relates to 17-year-olds. I'm not sure why that distinction.
Well, probably because they're close to 18. But
right. Yeah. Right.
So just remind our listeners the difference between aggravated murder, for example, and quote-unquote regular murder.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So aggravated murder is the crime in Utah that carries the death penalty. There is a law in the United States of America that you cannot execute a minor. So the death penalty does not apply to 16 or 17-year-olds, period.
Yeah.
Now, but the aggravated murder punishment can include life in prison without the possibility of parole. I haven't answered your question yet, but an aggravated murder is a murder with an aggravating circumstance. In other words, a knowing and intentional killing of a person, but something else was going on, like an armed robbery, or maybe 2 people were shot, or maybe it was a murder for hire or something. We have like maybe 20 or 25 designated aggravating circumstances that can bump a murder into an aggravated murder. And again, that's where you'd have like a 25 to life or a life without, that type of thing. And so people who are convicted of aggravated murder in Utah, even though it can be 25 to life, I'm not familiar in my short 43 years of anyone of those ever getting out of prison, but there's always the chance that that could happen.
So it's interesting to me. You've mentioned there were a number of 16-year-olds over the summer, and they've been charged with aggravated murder. I think if I remember one case, and it might have been the Ben Lomond case,
Exactly.
where there were like 25 shell casings or something.
Right.
Like,
That's
it
another.
was like there was a lot. That
Yeah.
would have been the aggravating factor, right?
Right, and also that other students were in the line of fire. That there could other
Oh,
people
yeah,
could have been hurt.
potentially.
So yeah, that's an aggravated murder case. But again, that's a 16-year-old.
Right. So this new proposed law wouldn't affect that.
Would not affect
Yeah.
that. So that makes me wonder why they're doing this. I mean, and maybe it's one of those baby steps things. Maybe it's one the legislature saying, "Hey, let's just go grab this 17-year-old group into the adult system for this specific crime of aggravated murder." I don't even know did you get a lot of pushback on that, because aggravated murder does mean that the murder was done in an especially heinous way or especially depraved way. You know, it's something that makes it more than just a murder, which is awful all by itself. So maybe the legislature is saying, well, let's see how far we can get here with this 17-year-old group. And frankly, I'm a lot of my friends in the juvenile court system might push back on this. It is a little concerning that you keep a kid in the juvenile system until they're 25, which
Yeah.
is really largely rehabilitative, and then you put him in the adult system, sort of throw him to the wolves. And I don't mean to be critical of the adult system, but they're different. And I do support the notion of keeping young offenders in the juvenile system as long as possible.
Yeah.
25 seems like a long time. I guess they could have made that 35 or 40. Instead, they said, we're not even going to go to 25. You're 17, you're going to the adult system right away.
Right. And I wonder, too, because it seems to take a fair amount of time for cases to wind their way through, if they're going to be 18 anyway by the time they hit sentencing.
And
anyway.
That's the rub, and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So that you get to that. I mean, they're almost always 18 by the time they get to sentencing.
Yeah.
And so then the judge is like, why am I dealing with juvenile detention? It's because you look at the age of the crime at the time that you committed it.
Yeah. It's interesting. So this is part of a proposed bill. It doesn't even have a named sponsor yet, but it was presented in the Judiciary Interim Committee this past Wednesday. And because of the way the process works, right, they had an opportunity to discuss it. That'll be officially presented during the 2026 general session that starts in January.
Yeah, and we talk about the bill got some notoriety because of the 17-year-old housing a 17-year-old who was tried as an adult in an adult facility. It also allows the prosecution to file a motion with the Board of Pardons and Parole regarding provisional housing of a minor in secure care. So it allows the not just the jail or the sheriff to decide, but the Board of Pardons and Parole to decide where some of these offenders will be. But it does another thing. It creates amends this definition of what we call the recidivism standard metric. And this is a complete digression from where we've been, but it's part of the same bill.
Part of the same bill, yeah.
And so what it does, the recidivism rate, is what we think about a lot. The revolving door, the problem with the criminal justice system and juvenile justice system. And to the extent that they are redefining how that's looked at, I think is a good thing, because we sort of cherish the juvenile justice system as a way to help so that we don't have people come back in the system.
Right.
Let's work on rehabilitation. Let's work on ways to hope that we don't have to get you into the adult system, because the adult system, unfortunately, has become a system of not warehousing, but there's not a lot of programming available like there is in the juvenile system.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people they're just doing their time, let's face it. And so I think there's a different use of time in the juvenile system, the adult system, and maybe, understanding recidivism and how to keep people from coming back into the system. I mean, that's always a big part of the criminal justice system in general.
There's another bill that they talked about, actually, which I think is interesting too, because you're talking about the justice system, and this bill is a specific response to what lawmakers called an egregious Supreme Court ruling. It did not have to do with redistricting, which I'm sure that's coming, but it had to do with first responders, actually. So there was a ruling in August from the Utah Supreme Court that said Unified Fire Authority was not immune from a lawsuit stemming from a 911 call, but the lawmakers are like, absolutely not. That was egregious. we should not allow that to stand. And so they unanimously approved this interim committee, which means it's not law. It still has to go through the official process. But it's to put first responders under governmental immunity, which protects them from lawsuits for doing their job.
Yeah, and a lot of people think they already are under sort of a Good Samaritan type liability.
And that's different. Good Samaritans for like citizens.
Good Samaritan is for a Good Samaritan, not for a first responder who's there in the line of duty anyway. But I work as a first responder, and so I'm a little bit biased. I'm on the ski patrol, and I do legal work for the National Ski Patrol, and this is always an issue that comes up. I've done that for 42 years, and I haven't been sued or seen patrollers get sued very often, but people are always like, well, SCOTUS, what can I do this, and what if I get sued for that? I always say, do your job. I mean, your patient care, as you know from your own professional experience, is number one. Worry about the rest later. But if you're doing what you think under your training is the best thing for patient care, you don't have to worry about it. But again, and I think the legislature was concerned about what the Supreme Court was doing to these fire authorities, saying, hey, wait a minute, they're doing everything they can, and suddenly they're getting sued.
Look, the person sponsoring the bill is Casey Snyder, who's in leadership, and he called it judicial incompetence, judicial activism, and said our Supreme Court has made our communities less safe. So tell us how you really feel.
These judges these days, they're just becoming political activists. Not. But anyway, sometimes we don't like what they do, and the legislature has been sort of reactive to that more than we've seen in the past. Well, nationally, 6 Democrats published a video reminding military members that they do not have to obey illegal orders. President Trump struck back and said that's sedition and said it was a crime punishable by death. We'll talk about that when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour. It is a Football Friday here on KSL News Radio, and the BYU football team landed in Cincinnati last evening to get ready for their huge matchup with the Bearcats Saturday night. BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick says the team knows they have to be dialed in.
First of all, they're a good team. That's the big challenge right there. Is just we're playing against a good team. They have good players, good schemes. They're well coached. So that's the first part, is just that they're good. And secondly, we're on the road, which we didn't handle our last road game very well, didn't handle crowd noise very well, so we've got to do better with that. And then just, it's a long trip. So, we've done it before, and we've won games on the road in the past, but it's a huge challenge for sure. This is a team that is very good.
This game has big implications on who ends up in the Big 12 championship game. The kick is at 6, but we start our pregame coverage Saturday at noon. The Utah Utes will try to keep their championship game hopes alive when they host Kansas State tomorrow afternoon. That game kicks at 2. The Utah State Aggies are on the road playing Fresno State. Our top national story this hour. The Trump administration is working to bring down food prices.
The U.S. imports about a third of all of its coffee from Brazil, and ground coffee prices have spiked 41% in the past year. Beef prices also at record highs, with ground beef up 12% in a year. There are other factors at play here, like the weather, but analysts we've talked to say that these lower tariffs should help bring down the prices you pay at least a little bit in the next couple of months.
ABC's Elizabeth Schulze reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's up 350 right now. That's 0.75%. We're at 46,102. Coming up, highs in the 50s for the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Ricky Meese.
Back to a quiet drive on all your Salt Lake County freeways. We are still dealing with a small situation in Utah County, a disabled vehicle over to the left shoulder. It's on the exit ramp southbound I-15 5th East, American Fork. IFA Country Stores are the place to go for all your last-minute gifts this Christmas. Find something for everyone on your list. Stop by or shop 24/7 when you visit IFA.coop. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll see a mix of clouds and sun today, highs in the low 50s, temperatures much the same throughout the weekend. Right now it's cloudy and 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
A group of Democratic lawmakers nationally have posted a video where they seem to be encouraging members of the military to ignore illegal orders. And the language that they use, and it sort of changes between individuals who are speaking. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. They're telling members of the military, do your job, but you do not have to follow an order if you believe it to be illegal. Referring to the video posted by the Democrat, encouraging members to not follow illegal orders. Of course, Donald Trump was upset. He retruthed, hang them. George Washington would, and ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has more about the back and forth between these two groups.
This morning, bipartisan blowback after President Trump accused 6 congressional Democrats of seditious behavior punishable by death.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
The representatives, all veterans of the military or U.S. intelligence, posted this video reminding military service members that they should not obey illegal orders.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution. One of those Democrats, Senator Mark Kelly, explaining the video's message.
He has talked about sending troops into more U.S. cities. He's talked about invoking the Insurrection Act. In 2020, he went to his Secretary of Defense and he asked the question. He said, can't we just shoot these protesters in the legs? That is an example of an illegal order.
The president posting a flurry of messages saying the 6 lawmakers should be arrested and put on trial, and later reposting a message saying, hang them, George Washington would. Democrats accusing the president of inciting violence, some now beefing up their security. While criticizing the video, some Republicans also say the president's response went too far.
It stirs up people among us who may not be stable, who may think, well, traitors, what do we do with traitors? It's a death penalty. Maybe I'll just take matters into my own hands.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt facing this question.
Does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. To suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do, and they should be held accountable, and that's what the president wants to see.
So the chain of command, Holly, is such an important part of the military behavior, and we often think that military personnel follow their orders of their leaders, which is true. And in terms of whether or not they're supposed to, there is a carve out in terms of what they can do, and that's from the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So when an individual swears to follow the Constitution of the United States and the military leaders.
It's the Constitution. It's not the leaders.
Right. It's like, well, but you don't necessarily have to follow something that could potentially be illegal, and they are allowed to do that. They're already allowed to do that, and I think the Democratic representatives who made this video were just saying, hey, you don't have to do something illegal.
Right.
Trump's saying you're actually encouraging sedition.
So I think it's important to understand the distinction here. It's not just that they don't have to, but the what you mentioned at the Uniform Code of Military Justice tells them they are prohibited from following illegal orders. And examples include orders to commit crimes like harming civilians, shooting them in the leg, using torture, falsifying records. They have a duty to refuse these orders. And I will say, I saw this on X this morning, and this is somebody who has a 36 years in U.S. intelligence and in the Navy. And he says this: I am staggered at how many people have never heard of the words My Lai Massacre and have never seen this official U.S. Army photo of a few of the 350 to 500 dead civilians summarily executed on an unlawful order by Lieutenant William Calley. All servicemen and women are reminded before every deployment, do not obey unlawful orders. And the My Lai Massacre, if you remember, happened during the Vietnam War, where a rogue group of U.S. Soldiers executed between 350 and 500 civilians, mostly women, children, and elderly men, and then tried to cover it up.
Yeah, ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott has more, actually interviewed retired military personnel for their take on this.
Retired Lieutenant General Doug Lute says American troops are obligated to reject illegal orders, and the military has lawyers on staff who help make those determinations.
In most cases, this is really a conversation between military commanders who make the judgments and the advice they get from legal counsel.
In February, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth replaced the lead lawyers for the Army, Navy, and Air Force, claiming they weren't well suited to provide recommendations when lawfully ordered.
Yeah, so if you don't like the message, you can change out the messengers a little bit. But I understand that the administration wants to have its idea, or I don't know, their definition of how the law should be handled. If you remember, this reminds me of a movie, and it was a silly movie, but it was A Few Good Men, and the whole premise of that movie, if you recall, Jack Nicholson was some individuals were on trial for killing a member of the military, and their defense was this very thing. That's what made me think about it. They were ordered to do something by a military leader, and they're saying, so we shouldn't be held responsible for that because we were ordered to do that. One of the great lines of any movie came out of that dialogue in terms of Jack Nicholson being cross-examined.
Answer! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I've always wanted to do that in a trial. Have a witness say, to me, Scortis, you can't handle the truth. But that would put me in my place. Maybe I don't want to have that occur.
We do have a texter that says, as a veteran, I can tell you the military is expected to follow all orders or face court-martial. I think it's clear that legally there is a line. Right, you cannot be ordered to go kill a group of civilians. That's extrajudicial, right? And so some of the conversation has been what qualifies. And the Democrats who made this movie, they did not, or the little clip. It's not a movie, but they did not specify anything specifically, but certainly there have been concerns, and there have been bipartisan concerns that some of what's happening with so-called drug boats in the Caribbean being bombed without any kind of due process, that could be considered extrajudicial. And there are other things as well, right? But this whole thing is just so concerning with the escalation of at least verbal rhetoric, right? To call on the potential execution of Democratic lawmakers is really wild.
You know, and I agree with the texter that you just read in some respect, because, again, I've said this before, my son's in the military, and a lot of military personnel don't necessarily think, well, what does the Code of Military Justice say about this? If they're told something by a superior officer, they will want to follow that. It'd be something pretty outrageous for most military personnel not to follow that. But I also applaud what's happening here on behalf of these Congress people to say you don't have to do that. You don't have to follow something if it's illegal. But we don't want our military personnel having to make those decisions. I mean, that's something they should never have to do.
Well, I think that is part of the conversation also about what's going on nationally with even with mental health within the armed services.
Right.
All right, look, we've talked a lot about the government shutdown. It's finally over, but we know that the continuing resolution that passed only goes through the end of January, and it had some pretty significant impacts right here in Utah, including on our national parks. There are a couple, both Zion National Park and Arches, that are really feeling some effects from that shutdown, and we'll talk about those next.
The holidays are just around the corner, and Western Nut Company is here to make your gifting a breeze. From our beautiful gift baskets and nut boxes to our famous in-house fudge and brittle, we've got treats for every taste bud, crafted with the highest quality ingredients. Corporate gifting, that's our specialty. Just send us your list and we'll handle the rest. Beautifully packed, shipped with care, and guaranteed to impress. Calling all office managers or executive assistants. Call Western Nut now and let us make your holidays a little less nuts. But we actually do want you to eat more nuts. For 60 years, Western Nut has been a proud Utah tradition. Stop by our downtown shop for unique gifts, glittering ornaments, festive decor, and so much more. Western Nut Company, more than just the best gifts in Utah. We're a holiday tradition, in-store or online at westernut.com, where quality meets tradition, and every gift is packed with love.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
Hello, car donation hotline.
line.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a no. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call Tow Cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country. But Congressman Blake Moore is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. Call Congressman Blake Moore at 202-225-0453 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Nate Bargatze in the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour, live at Delta Center, with 4 shows December 4th through 6th. Tickets available at deltacenter.com. Nate Bargatze, on sale now. deltacenter.com.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
One of the many effects and fallouts from the government shutdown, and we talked about this, Holly, was what would happen with Utah's 5 big national parks.
Yeah.
They did manage to stay open during the shutdown. The state contributed some money. It looks like something in the range of about $300,000, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't what they needed, and now some of these parks are trying to play catch up as their dollars that they had was drained. Zion and Arches National Park are both facing uncertainty. They're trying to stay above water. Zion National Park is doing what it can, and here's KSL News Radio's Andrea Bonilla reporting.
Zion was able to remain open during that month, but they lost a lot of money doing it. St. George News reports the park did not take the $35 entrance fees, losing $35,000 to $55,000 a day. It also had to close 4 of the 5 park stores, losing money used for continuing education programs. There's also about $80 million in deferred maintenance fees now. Anyone who wants to help with the fees can, and they're hoping some people will. Just donate to the park using the QR code on the entrance or the Zion Forever Project. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
So I'm looking at the article that Alexandria referenced, and that's in the St. George News. And this one is specifically about Zion National Park. And you know, to lose $35,000 to $55,000 a day, that's significant.
Right, and this wasn't something like government employees who were out of work and they get reinstated. So they get
exactly.
Back pay. There was no back pay.
Yeah.
There was no reimbursement to Zion and Arches and any of the other parks, for that matter, for the money that they lost. They just didn't collect money for 43 days, and like Alexandria just said, something like $35,000 to $55,000 per day.
So
that
there's
adds up.
there's a little nonprofit. I don't know how little it is actually. There's a nonprofit group down there called Zion Forever Project, and they helped with volunteers to help keep the visitor center open, and they set up an informational booth so that they could talk to visitors upon arrival. But one of the things that they said is that Zion National Park has about $80 million in deferred maintenance backlog right now. Those funds that they would have collected, that $35,000 to $55,000 per day, went or should have gone to that, right? It's that part is now impacted, and of course then you get this cascading effect. So she said that they're doing what they can, but this impact, she calls it huge.
Yeah, and according to a Salt Lake Tribune report, it did cost the state of Utah $337,000 to keep visitor centers open during that time, and that money is not likely to be reimbursed by the federal government. Now, $337,000, when we talk about something like millions of dollars in lost revenue may seem like a drop in the bucket, but it was a fairly generous contribution by the state to at least keep some services going.
Right. So this I'm looking at an article that is from the Salt Lake Tribune, but also in coordination with the Moab Times Independent, which is a small newspaper in Moab, as you might imagine. And they have an executive director of Friends of Arches and Canyonlands Park, and he said, while it's great that the state of Utah was contributing some funds to help keep the visitor center open, the parks were bleeding money throughout the shutdown, and we just heard an example of how that happened.
Yeah, I don't know that it was even on the table to close them outright, because that affects so many other people other than park employees. Because you think about the surrounding towns, Moab as to Arches, Springdale as to Zion, and others, that you shut the park down, you shut the county down.
Well, I would say that's why the state has stepped up, and why after several shutdowns, they're like, okay, we're going to make a commitment that we're going to do what we can, at least minimally keep parks open, right, during government shutdowns. But to your point, across the nation, there were parks completely shut down 100%.
There should be maybe something in the future when we have these government shutdowns and we're doing reimbursements, that we're not just neglecting agencies like the parks that were not able to collect revenue during that time. Give them some subsidy, or give them something to
right
make up
now
for the
they
lost
just suck
revenue.
it up.
Right now it's like, well, you were out of business, you weren't collecting money, so we're not going to give you that. And man, that's going to take a year or two. Who knows how long it's going to take to make up. I didn't notice, and I do have a place near Capitol Reef, and we were down there during the shutdown. I didn't notice that the park was particularly not maintained. People were still there. It wasn't the biggest time of year, at least for that particular park. But I thought that whoever was running, whether it was the state or just Good Samaritans, it seemed like people were keeping it running, and it was staying fairly clean.
And remember, though, also we talked about in Arches, they found graffiti 3 days before the shutdown ended. But they also found used toilet paper. People were leaving on the trail. People were taking their dogs, even though the dogs are prohibited if everything is up and running like it's supposed to be. I mean, it really is. It's sometimes I think it's nice to say, well, we're doing what we can, and it is nice, but I think we forget that's significant impact, that they didn't collect those fees, and they're not going to get back pay because of the fees not collected. I mean, how do you do that anyway? But it has significant impact on our national parks
and the surrounding cities.
Exactly.
The National Parks Conservation Association said that gateway communities like Moab, like some of these cities that are just outside the park, lost $80 million in visitor spending from the shutdown. $80 million. That's a lot. That's outside the park itself. I mean, those are businesses that count on that. That's the people that come into their restaurants and their coffee shops and rent equipment and shoes, sporting goods, that type of thing.
So the Moab Times Independent, the headline in there is Arches National Park faces uncertainty after the government shutdown. And they're like, look, we're only funded through January 30th. So this could be
another problem.
This could be significant to us, right? How do you keep things going when you're doing this back and forth and back and forth? So
and I know that under the big beautiful bill that some of these parks and some of what the government is spending on isn't as big a priority. So they're already facing cutbacks, but then just having been not funded at all for 40 some odd days, how are you going to make that up is going to be really hard. I mean, I know it says Arches faces uncertain future. Arches faces a beautiful future.
Well,
I mean,
it will still exist, right?
They'll still be fine. They'll still have people lining up just like they do at Zion. That people will be there, and Bryce and Capitol Reef and Natural Bridges. What is number 5? And Canyonlands. Anyway, we'll have tourists there. We'll have people going, but when you get this, what you've described as sort of the filth and the it wasn't taken care of, spray painted. You never make that kind.
There's no trash collection, right? I mean, look, we're just saying it's. I think it's sad to think that this is part of the yo-yoing back and forth between, are we going to shut down or not shut down? Are we going to have parks open or not open? And I, it's an area that impacts. If you tell a community, for example, I know that you don't have a lot of business in your area, but your business is tourism, but then your tourism dries up because everything is shut down. That makes it really hard for the counties then to balance their budgets because they don't have the hotel, the transient room tax, and they don't have the businesses that are bringing in the sales tax. And that has a ripple effect, as you already mentioned, to those local communities.
I had no idea that the state did as much as it did. I mean, $337,000 is not a lot for the long period of time and the significance of the parks, but it's a significant amount. And I had thought we talked to someone with the state who gave us the impression that the state wasn't going to be able to jump in and do a lot, but they
well, they're doing some, right? But they
claim
just can't keep it all the way open.
To keep visitor centers and some limited services open at the park, I guess the state wildlife people stood up and manned the centers for some time.
And some of these volunteer groups, so like down in Zion, the informational center was basically a pop-up that was put up outside and manned by these volunteers from this nonprofit.
Well, let's hope that on January 30th, on or before January 30th, we get something together so that we don't go through this again, because that's not fair to the park employees. It's not fair to the tourists that come into our state from all over the world to see such beauty, and it's not fair to the surrounding communities who rely on that and count on that support. Congress has got to do something so that, I mean, the fallout from this government shutdown, we learn more and more about it all the time. It can't happen again. It's certainly not to the extent of 43 days. Well, there's something I'm learning more about, and you and I have been talking about the last couple of days that I hadn't realized and hadn't appreciated, but they call it gas station heroin, and it's in the crosshairs at Utah's Capitol Hill. We'll talk to Utah Senator Mike McKell about why he wants to ban Kratom, Kratom, when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Ski Utah has started issuing their daily snow reports, and as you might guess, it's not pretty. Deer Valley, Beaver Mountain, Cherry Peak, Park City all list a base of 0 inches. But Brian Head does open today at 10 a.m. with a base of 5 inches. That's opening right now. Alta has the most snow listed in the report with a base of 9 inches. They plan to open 2 weeks from today. Our top national story this hour, expectations are running high for the Thanksgiving travel period that begins today.
The trade group Airlines for America projects an all-time high 31 million passengers will climb aboard between today and December 1st. Far more Americans, however, will make their holiday trips by car, truck, or SUV. AAA predicts that at least 73 million people will drive to their destination, over 1 million more than Thanksgiving last year.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. The BYU football team landed in Cincinnati last evening to get ready for their huge matchup with the Bearcats Saturday night. BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick says the team knows they have to be dialed in.
First of all, they're a good team. That's the big challenge right there. Is just we're playing as a good team. They have good players, good schemes. They're well coached.
This game has big implications on who ends up in the Big 12 championship game. The kick is at 6, but we start our pregame coverage Saturday at noon. The University of Utah is also in action tomorrow, hosting Kansas State. It'll also be the Utes senior night. Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 633 now. That's 1 4/10%. We're at 46,385. Coming up, no storms in sight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
The end of the year is coming so fast. Your house needs to be ready for those big get-togethers.
At 5 Star Painting, our service is hotter than a glowing red doorknob. From colors so smooth, rich, and inviting, to bold and bright enough to hit like a hot iron. Trust 20 years of experience, over 1,000 beaming reviews, and our 2-year warranty that sets us apart from all the others. Leave your guests thirsty for more. This year, let us swing the paint cans. 5starpainting.com.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Also that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And back to you, Ricky.
Nice and quiet on the Valley freeways. Good speeds, no problems reported there. Your main secondaries are also seeing a good drive. Even the downtown city streets, light traffic and problem-free. UTA is road therapy. Give your car a break and get more U-time. Plan your trip at rideuta.com or on the Transit app. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to stay in the low 50s for the next 3 days. We don't have any storms predicted in northern Utah before Thanksgiving. Right now it is cloudy and 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, this one caught me by surprise, and maybe I'm out of the loop a little bit, but there's a drug, a substance that's being sold at Utah gas stations and service stations, and it's called Kratom, Kratom. And some people describe it as gas station heroin. Supporters of the drug say it's a natural remedy that helps with pain and addiction. For the next couple segments, we're going to be breaking down the arguments for and against the ban, or proposed statewide ban on Kratom. And the American Kratom Association is going to join us at 10:20 to discuss their perspective.
I'm shaking my head at you because we asked for pronunciation because I didn't know either, but I've been told it's Kratom.
Okay.
So we're going to ask Senator Mike McKell what he thinks. So thanks for joining us, Senator.
Hey, thank you for having me on. And Greg, I'm really happy you didn't know about the drug. It is Kratom. I'm glad you've got me on before the Kratom Association. I mean, let me tell you, they're out to sell a product. They're gonna pitch a good story. But what I've done so far is I've actually got feedback from experts. We had a committee hearing. We had all of the experts in the state. So don't take my word for it. I'm happy to talk through. But it is Kratom, and I just want to start off right off the top. This is from the FDA. Kratom is not appropriate for use as a dietary supplement. Therefore, Kratom is not legally marketed in the U.S. as a drug product, a dietary supplement, or a food addition in conventional food. Let's jump into it. Ask me anything you want.
Okay, let me ask you first, why is it being sold at gas stations, and why are we calling it now gas station heroin?
Well, it's interesting. We call it gas station heroin. I was at a dinner last night with a lawmaker from Louisiana. They had just banned it, and that's the term they use. That's the term I use. Unfortunately, this is where I regret a vote that I made years ago while I was still serving in the House. We passed the Kratom Protection Act. It authorized kratom to be sold in the state of Utah. It's expanded out. It's being sold in the state of Utah. It's in a lot of states. States that have passed it have now banned it. I was with a lawmaker from Louisiana and Connecticut. Both of those states have just banned it. Comes from Southeast Asia. Several nations in Southeast Asia ban it entirely. They've had hundreds of years of that long history with the product. They know how harmful it is. But I'm going to call it gas station heroin. That's what it is. It attacks your opioid receptors exactly the same way. I hope we get a chance to talk about some of the data we learned in the state. But people are dying from kratom, and it's showing up in our overdose deaths, and it's a really dangerous product.
How is it being marketed, Senator? I mean, and I've like I said, I've never seen it, but it's obviously being marketed, or we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, you've probably seen it. You just didn't notice. It's on the counter at Maverick. I mean, that's how it's being marketed. It's literally at the checkout counter next to 5 Hour Energy, and these products. I don't want to go into too many details. I don't want new people using this product, but smoke shops online. There are. So I kind of did a survey, and I don't want to say I did a survey. I went on my own investigation. I drove around the legislative district I represent, and I bought kratom to have it tested. And I mean, I can tell you every gas station in Spanish Fork that sells it or doesn't sell it, but that's where it's primarily sold, including smoke shops, and a bunch of it sold online.
Are there different strains being made other than what the natural substance would be if you found
it?
In
almost every strain that people are buying are not the natural kratom, and that's, look, they're going to come on, they're going to tell you how wonderful this plant is. But what I did is I asked every clerk when I bought kratom, I said, I want you to sell me what people are actually buying. Sell me the most popular version of kratom. And then I had a chance to meet with Dr. Brandon Forsyth up at the state lab. We had a lot of these products tested, and the most popular kratoms, the kratoms folks are buying, it's extracted. It's become way more potent and way more addictive and way more harmful.
Is that because they're adding synthetic ingredients to it? I mean, I understand, and again, I'm like Greg. I didn't know anything about it until I started seeing on your social media that you're like, hey, I didn't know how bad this was.
Yeah, it's bad news. Well, what they're doing is they're extracting it, making it more potent. And when they come on, they're going to tell you about a drug called 7-OH or 7-hydroxy. And it is really dangerous, and I think we all agree that it's really dangerous. But what's interesting is the metrageny, that's an alkaloid in the kratom itself, is also very dangerous. And don't take my word for it. We did a committee hearing. The state lab, the director himself, Brandon Forsyth, as he's been looking at these products, one of the conclusions he's reached, and some of our other experts that came in, is the alkaloid in kratom, the main alkaloid, the metrageny itself, is also very, very dangerous. And I've heard the industry say it would take a truckload of this alkaloid to get somebody addicted, to get somebody high, and that's nonsense. That's not true. Right now, I want this to set in. We had the Megan Brokemeyer. She's the Drug Overdose Prevention Research Coordinator for our DHHS at the state of Utah. She brought data, and right now we have at least 158 kratom-related overdose deaths where kratom was in that person who overdosed. And those numbers of that drug have actually gone up 43% over the last 5 years in these overdose deaths we're seeing in the state of Utah. So it's showing up in a very big way, and it's a scary substance. It just, the way it's being marketed is safe. It's not a supplement. When you go to buy your supplements, I don't know anybody that says, well, I think I want to go get my supplement at the gas station and, conveniently right next to the 5 Hour Energy.
So Mike, how is it being, I mean, what is the FDA doing? Is there no federal legislation or federal regulation of this right now?
Not very much. It's catching up, and there's been an effort nationwide to really focus on stuff, and that's what the industry is going to tell you, that the problem is 7-hydroxy, and they're right. It is a problem, but it's both. The FDA is tackling that, but the guidance from the FDA is, it is clear. Quote, kratom is not appropriate for use as a dietary supplement, end quote. The FDA has looked at it. They've been really clear. The Mayo has done some really good research, and just to warn the public, when they come on, they're going to talk about some research. A lot of that research was actually funded by these folks selling the product. So when they come on and they talk about how safe it is and the research that was done, I want to be clear that a lot of that research is coming directly from the industry itself and the Kratom Association. Dollars are being used as marketing dollars to do research, and I think we see that in a lot of products, but I think you're going to hear that when they come on.
Can I ask you a question about how this relates to maybe the psilocybin conversation that's been happening on Utah's Capitol Hill? So magic mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking about maybe classifying or restricting the use of kratom under the supervision of a trained professional, or you are just looking for a straight out ban?
Yeah, so what I do is I schedule the 2 alkaloids, the 7-hydroxy as well as the metrogeny, and that if somebody wanted to go down that road and go through that medical process, that doesn't close the door. I've talked about a ban, but the ban is selling it the way it's being sold today. Certainly if somebody wanted to go down that road, they could. But what I think is you shouldn't be able to sell an opioid in a gas station. I think that's really clear. And let me just throw out another argument. You're going to hear about people who come off opioids, and they're able to come off opioids by taking kratom. And that shouldn't surprise anybody that you can replace one opioid with another. Your opioid receptors are impacted the exact same way with kratom. So when they argue, and people who are selling this product, they argue this is a safe way to get off opioids. I don't think converting from one opioid to another opioid is ever safe. And anytime opioids are involved, to your point with the psilocybin, medical marijuana, we involve professionals, we involve doctors, we involve some oversight to make sure it's not just peddled at a gas station.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. That was Senator Mike McKell talking to us about proposals on Utah's Capitol Hill to ban or at least restrict kratom. And when we come back, we're going to talk with the Kratom Association and how they say it can be used beneficially. So stay with us.
We do have some breaking news, though. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says women who wish to serve full-time missions can now start at 18 years old. It adds that missionary service is still considered part of a man's priesthood responsibility, but it's an optional opportunity for young women. We'll be right back.
Hey, Utah, think about the water in your home. Is it as good as it could be? Hi, this is the water boy, Colson Firmage, a third-generation Culligan man. Here at Culligan, our roots run deep. My grandfather started with Culligan over 5 decades ago, and that commitment to quality and service is stronger than ever. We understand Utah water, and we have the top-rated water filtration technology to make a real difference in your daily life. Imagine softer skin, longer-lasting appliances, and water that tastes truly refreshing. That's the Culligan promise. Maybe you're wondering about your current water system. Does it even work? We're offering free water tests for all makes and models. Just call us at 801-509-9602 or visit us online at culliganslc.com to schedule your free water test. And for a limited time, you can experience the Culligan difference and save. Receive $1,000 off a new Culligan water filtration system, plus enjoy the convenience of free salt delivery for a full year. Call 801-509-9602 or online at culliganslc.com. Culligan, water you'll love.
The Movie Show broadcasting live today from My Hearing Centers at their Sandy location. They've got locations up and down Utah to help you out. And what we've got today is an offer for KSL and Movie Show listeners in particular to try out the latest and greatest in hearing aid technology, the Signia BCT-IX. I'm joined by Matt Deering from My Hearing Centers. We're coming up on the holidays, Matt, and this is the time where a lot of times this is one of the times when they notice that they've got hearing issues because they get into that group setting and suddenly it becomes a lot harder to understand.
Yeah, a little PSA. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
So if you didn't know, now you know. But the reality is this is what time of the year, our busiest time of the year is actually still January. It's because we hit the holidays and people realize, hey, I didn't hear the things that I wanted to. That doesn't have to be you. Now, we might not be able to get you in before Thanksgiving, but we can certainly get you in way before Christmas. You can try the hearing aids through the new year, right? So as long through the new year to make sure they're working. So go to those parties, enjoy your Christmas, go to the theaters. I know some good movies are coming out as well.
Oh, yeah.
So enjoy all that, and then come back and share your experience, and we'll give you a gift card to Red Lobster or Olive Garden as a thank you. Oh, sorry, no, that's wrong. We're going to give you movie tickets. That's better.
Even better, because you can try your hearing aids out at the theater at these big movies that are coming out between now and Christmas. Interestingly enough, you guys have a free option for people to even get evaluated to see if they need hearing aids.
Right now, if you call 801-701-1629, we'll actually set you up for a free hearing evaluation. And if you do have hearing loss, we'll let you try the latest hearing aids risk-free through the holidays.
Through the holidays. So this is an even bonus kind of a thing. Now, let's talk about insurance, too, because people have started to meet deductibles or maybe have already met their deductibles. This could be a really good time to try these out.
Absolutely. And some of our patients are actually able to come in and they're having their hearing aids covered with no additional out-of-pocket for them. So as you mentioned, if you've met your deductible, it's a great time to come in. If you have an HSA or FSA plan, come in. We'll make sure we help you maximize all the benefits you have.
All right, and we'll talk more about these hearing aids as we go along on the movie show today. The number to call to make that appointment for a free hearing evaluation and a free hearing test. You got to have the test first, then the evaluation, Matt. I got to get that right. 801-701-1629.
Smarter clean in half the time. Brought to you by Swiffer Power Mop. Tired of the mop and bucket struggle? The Swiffer Power Mop gives you a mop and bucket clean without all the extra work. It's an all-in-one cleaning tool that mops smarter, not harder. With built-in solution that breaks down dirt and grime. And a pad with over 300 scrubbing strips to absorb and lock sticky messes. It even gets into places a regular mop can't. And leaves your home smelling fresh for hours. Try the Swiffer Power Mop today. Love it or your money back. This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
$1.5 trillion is parked on the sidelines. Projects that would help create good-paying American jobs are stuck in years of burdensome reviews. Permitting reform would unlock over 650 major U.S. infrastructure projects, from new roads and bridges to bringing more energy online. With faster, more efficient permitting, we can unleash America's economic potential. Let's move from waiting to building. Ready, set, let's build. Paid for by Business Roundtable.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
Let's follow up on our conversation about kratom. Utah lawmaker says that that even though it's a natural remedy that helps with pain and addiction, it should be regulated, and a Utah lawmaker is actually trying to ban it. We just heard from Senator Mike McKell, who's sponsoring legislation to do that. We now have joining us Mac Haddow, Senior Fellow on Public Policy for the American Kratom Association. Mac, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce that word wrong anymore. But can you tell our listeners what it is?
I can. Thank you for this opportunity. Kratom is a plant that's grown naturally in Southeast Asia, has been used for centuries there safely by people. It came to the United States just after the Vietnam War when our soldiers who had used it in order to offset the long, hot days in the jungle, gave them energy boost and increased focus. We had a massive immigration of the Hmong population where kratom was a part of their diet. So it was introduced to the United States and has been used safely in America since that time.
And so today, it's something you can just buy over the counter at a gas station. Is that right?
And at health food stores. And yes, you can buy a number of products that are very helpful to you at gas stations. You can also buy products in the state of Utah that are very bad for you, including cigarettes and alcohol. You regulate those things to make sure kids can't get them and make sure that they're properly labeled. And that's what the existing Kratom Consumer Protection Act does.
So let me just ask you this. It's being called gas station heroin, which to me makes it sound like I should be concerned. we're also hearing some data that it can be very, very addictive. What can you tell us about its addictive properties?
Well, let me first say that I have immense respect for Senator McKell, and I understand what he's trying to do, but he was quoted in the Deseret News when asked whether he would work with the association. He said that's not going to happen. It needs to happen because what Senator McKell told you on this gas station heroin is not accurate. If you look at the FDA's characterization of gas station heroin, they're talking about 7-OH, which is a chemically manipulated opioid that is derived from a metabolite in the kratom plant. It is not kratom. And I think he's wrong about that. And if he would talk to us and not just lock the door on us, we could explain that. But there are a couple of other things that Senator McKell said that are equally not true. He said that the Mayo Clinic has done really good research on kratom. They have not spent one penny of research on kratom. They simply repeat what the FDA in the past has said. But importantly, and what Senator McKell needs to understand, the FDA has changed their position on natural kratom leaf products dramatically because they now have identified that 7-OH, gas station heroin, needs to be scheduled at the federal level, and they announced that on July 29th. Now, on the safety, the reason the FDA has changed their position, that they previously had been anti-kratom, is that they conducted their own FDA dose-finding study. Senator McKell told you a lot in his interview what you were going to hear from us. We're a consumer-based organization, not an industry group. He said that the FDA dose-finding study was funded by industry. That's not true. It was funded by the FDA. It was independently done by an agency that had a bias against kratom, and what they found is that kratom is well tolerated at all dose levels. And if you look at the kratom death statistics that were quoted by Senator McKell, they misstate the reality and the truth. Those overdose deaths consistently involved polydrug use. That's a problem in our society where you have people that are using illicit drugs, and some of them may be using kratom at the same time, some to withdraw from those illicit drugs, but that's not what caused their deaths. And you can look at the FDA website, you can look at the National Institute on Drug Abuse website. Both consistently say, from a federal government position, that kratom deaths are rare, and when they do occur, it is because of adulterated products or polydrug use. We don't go in and ban Tylenol because someone adulterated or manipulated a Tylenol product like they did in Chicago a couple of decades ago. We regulate that product, and that's the response that we should be using here. There are bad kratom products on the market that are masquerading as kratom that are actually gas station heroin. There are some extremely potent kratom products that are masquerading as natural kratom leaf products. We need to regulate them. Banning them is not the solution, and Senator McKell is simply wrong on that point. I hope he'll sit down and talk to us.
We're speaking with Mac Haddow, Senior Fellow on Public Policy for the American Kratom Association. Mac, let me ask you kind of a two-part question. One, how does the FDA currently treat kratom? And two, you mentioned the Kratom Consumer Protection Act or something. Can you tell us, I'm sure I butchered the name, what that is?
So you can go to Commissioner McCary's statement when asked directly in the July 29th press conference what the difference between natural kratom leaf products are and 7-OH. And he said the difference is night and day. He called 7-OH gas station heroin because it is. It is an opioid. Kratom is not. Senator McKell is wrong again. Kratom is not by legal definition nor by chemistry an opioid. It is a partial agonist, as many substances are, that does not go to the euphoric high center of your brain, nor does it cause respiratory suppression. And there are numerous NIDA, National Institutes on Drug Abuse, studies, over $100 million of NIDA-funded studies, government taxpayer-funded, that will corroborate what I've just said to you. And the idea that this is all funded by industry is a myth. And I hope that Senator McKell will sit down and talk to us about it. The Kratom Consumer Protection Act is our effort to regulate kratom because we were having a hard time at the federal level getting the FDA's attention. We started in 2019. Utah was the first of now 18 states that have enacted a Kratom Consumer Protection Act. It regulates kratom, the formulation of the products, it requires good labeling, and it age restricts access to it. That's what Utah did, and they are the pioneer in the country, and we're seeing more and more states do it. And I'll just give you an example. Senator McKell said he talked about Louisiana that just banned it. Rhode Island reversed their ban and adopted the KCPA. But the Louisiana House member who stood on the floor and was asked the question, what about these synthetics? And Representative DeLeo said, and I've got a tape of it, said there's no such thing as a synthetic. And yet that's what the FDA now has identified as the true problem in the kratom space, these masquerading products that are 7-hydroxymitragynine, 7-OH, that are opioids, full-blown opioids, because they're chemically manipulated. That's what we need to do to protect the public, and we need to make sure we stop them in the state of Utah. And Senator McKell's bill partially does that. He wants to ban 7-OH. That's appropriate.
So just to clarify, what does regulation look like to you? Because it sounds to me like you're really in favor of regulating because there are some adulterated forms. What does that look like to you?
Two levels of regulation. One is that the product that is sold to a consumer cannot contain more than 2% of the overall fraction of the product as 7-OH. That means that it's not chemically manipulated. Trace amounts of 7-OH do occur in the drying process of creating raw materials. And the FDA identified that. Commissioner McCary said it clearly, not even a question about that. So that's the first regulation. And secondly, we don't allow for any kratom product to be extracted without using FDA-approved food-grade solvents that do not exceed what's called the USP 467. That protects consumers. And Senator McKell is wrong on this point about these extracted products. Those that are violating that standard need to be removed from the marketplace, and we'll work with him on that. And currently, there's one other addition that we could add to the Utah law, which would say that you can't sell a 7-OH product that's greater than 1 milligram in a serving size. That is a protection that needs to be added to the Utah law, and we would like to work with Senator McKell on that.
Thank you for joining us today. We were talking with Mac Haddow, Senior Fellow on Public Policy for the American Kratom Association, and we also heard from Senator Mike McKell in our previous segment on why he believes this is so dangerous and addictive. So now we have both sides of the story.
Right, regulation versus preclusion altogether. We'll see which side prevails. And I guess we may have 50 different rulings from 50 different states on how kratom is being marketed and sold and regulated within those states.
So when we come back, we just had that breaking news that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has announced that women who wish to serve a full-time mission can now start at age 18. And we're going to learn more about this from Sarah Weaver when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Repeating our breaking news this hour, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says women who wish to serve a full-time mission can now start at 18 years old. It adds that missionary service is still considered part of a man's priesthood responsibility, but is still an optional opportunity for young women. Utah Governor Spencer Cox is the latest state leader to criticize a judge's decision to reject a congressional map proposed by state lawmakers. Cox tells the Deseret News he thinks the ruling was a mistake, but he also took issue with the timing since it didn't give them any time to appeal ahead of the 2026 election. House Speaker Mike Schultz says the state plans to appeal the new map ahead of the 2028 election cycle. Our top national story this hour, New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani will be in the Oval Office this afternoon in a meeting with President Trump. The president has been an outspoken critic of Mamdani, saying the new mayor will slide New York into chaos. Mamdani says he's not worried about the meeting or confrontation, saying he wants to make his case about making life more affordable in New York.
I know that for tens of thousands of New Yorkers, this meeting is between two very different candidates who they voted for the same reason. They wanted a leader who would take on the cost of living crisis that makes it impossible for working people to afford living in this city.
Mamdani also has been an outspoken critic of the Trump administration. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 720 now. That's 1.5%. We're at 46,472. Coming up, a mix of clouds and sun today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
The Movie Show live from My Hearing Centers today in Sandy. I'm joined by Matt Deering. Matt, people go through the holidays. You said some of your busiest time is in January when people have made it through the holidays, realize there's some hearing issues, and then they come in to get it checked. But we have a chance that you don't have to do that. You can actually go and have a great experience during the holidays.
Yeah, highly recommend it. One of my favorite experiences, a couple of years ago, a woman after Thanksgiving came in with her daughters and had her hearing tested, and and her daughters thought she didn't like music. Because she'd never listened to music, and the reason she didn't listen to music because she couldn't get that full fidelity of sound. And then during the Christmas season, she was singing, she was dancing, having a good time. They came back and followed up. The daughters were just kind of in tears, like, "Hey, Mom has completely changed. Our interactions are so much better. We're enjoying each other's lives much more than we were before." And that's really what correcting your hearing loss does. Is it allows you to get back into those social situations, whether they're intimate with your close family, or if you are a more active person and you're spending a lot of time with other people. It just makes them a lot easier, a lot better, and you're not focusing so much on, well, what did they say, and you're focusing more on interacting and enjoying the conversation. It's hard to fully explain that effect. That's why we are allowing people to come in right now. We're doing free hearing evaluations, and if you do have a hearing loss, we'll let you try these hearing aids risk-free through the holidays.
And we got some motivation for you to call in during the movie show, some extra stuff right now. Besides the free hearing evaluation and the free hearing test, Matt, if they come and they make their appointment and they keep it, what do they get?
Yeah, if you keep your appointment, we're actually going to put you into a drawing for a free set of those hearing aids as well.
Ooh, I like that. Plus movie tickets.
Plus, at the end of the trial through the holidays, we'll give you some movie tickets as a thank you as well.
Wow, all that just by calling 801-701-1629 at My Hearing Centers. This is the time of year to do it because you've met your insurance deductibles. Didn't you say you can maybe get it fully covered through that?
Yeah, depending on the insurance, it might be fully covered. If you do have HSA or FSA plans, you can apply them to the hearing aids as well. So come in. We'll do everything we can to make sure we maximize your benefits and get you the hearing help that you need.
801-701-1629.
Do you remember what was happening in America? Families struggling, billions in wasteful spending. But Senator Mike Lee fought back. He voted for working family tax cuts, and Senator Lee voted to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse, saving taxpayers billions. So call Senator Mike Lee at 202-224-5444 and thank him for supporting the Working Families Tax Cut. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
She was the most luxurious ship of her time, a grand symbol of hope and elegance. No other story has captured our hearts quite like hers. Book your passage now for Titanic the Exhibition at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Walk through stunning recreations of Titanic staterooms, stand at the steps of the iconic Grand Staircase, and connect with unforgettable stories of passengers and crew. For a limited time in Sandy, secure passage at the Titanic Exhibition.com. ThetaTitanicExhibition.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Ricky Meese.
For those who are traveling I-15, 215, I-80, or the 201, you are good to go. And on I-15, KSL normal travel times both directions between Ogden and Provo. And right now, we are enjoying a crash-free commute on the freeways and our main secondaries. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see a high today of 52 with a few clouds, pretty much identical tomorrow. No storms lined up in the 7-day forecast for northern Utah. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced during our show this morning that women who wish to serve a full-time mission can now start at 18 years old once they've graduated from high school. It's interesting because when I was missionary age-ish, I had to wait until I was 21, and it was too long. I would have gone when I was 18 or 19 because I was a registered nurse.
So there was a transition in 2012.
I think 2012.
From 21
to 19.
Now it's down to 18, which is the same age as young men.
And it used to be for young men, it used to be 19 and went to 18.
Oh,
so we
right.
have the
That's
expert
right.
with us, and that's Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News. Thanks for joining us today, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Will you just talk about why this update is significant and maybe why it happened?
Well, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints did not say exactly why it happened. They just announced that this would be an opportunity for young women who want to serve. And then they re-emphasized that it's an opportunity. I think historically they've said that missionary service for young men is an obligation in the Church of Jesus Christ. But for young women, they want them to be able to choose if missionary service is right for them. And now they're saying they can do that at the same age as young men.
And I think it's important, Sarah, that the age is a minimum age. I mean, young women, and I guess men for that matter, can still go at a later age if that's what they choose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and many young men choose to do a year of college before they serve missions. And now that will be the same for young women. They can go right after high school. The requirement is that they have to be 18 years old and have graduated from high school or the equivalent before they are eligible for service. But they can go anytime after that up to the age of 26.
So I wonder if you could talk about just, I mean, as a mom of kids who used to be teenagers, they've grown out of that now. It's on some level, it seems so young, right? It seems so young to send them out that early.
Yes, and you know, a lot happens between the time high school and college. And I am the mother of 3 daughters, 2 of whom served missions at the age of 19. And I think both my daughters would have happily gone at 18.
And I would say just from my own experience, my 18-year-old daughters were more ahead of the curve than my 18-year-old son.
I would say that as well.
In terms of being able to go out into the world. I also think that it will encourage. You said something at the outset, Holly, which is by the time you were 21, you'd sort of moved on.
I had gotten engaged.
Yeah, there you go. So this might encourage more young people to do that instead of getting entrenched in college or entrenched in a relationship and say, boy, I just graduated from high school. This is a tremendous opportunity of a lifetime. Why not jump in a little bit early? It may actually get more young women to go on missions because of this younger age. I know that's a rhetorical
and
question.
Actually, that is an interesting thing to bring up because the number of missionaries is at a increasing high with 84,000 serving in the Church of Jesus Christ right now. That's up from just 65,000 at the end of 2022 and 72,000 at the end of 2023. So I'm not sure this is an indication of the church wanting more missionaries, as much as maybe equity between young men and young women and the opportunities that they have, because the number of missionaries is already on the rise. This shows a significant commitment to religiosity for members of this faith tradition.
I wonder, too, Sarah, if you could talk to us about the new missions that were recently announced. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with we've got a record number of missionaries and now we have a record number of missions.
Yeah, and so on October 24th, just 1 month ago, the church announced the creation of 55 new missions beginning on July 1st of 2026. And these missions are in all kinds of locations. There's 16 new missions in Africa and 14 missions in the United States and 5 in the Philippines and the Pacific. And there's also new missions in Europe and South America and Brazil and Asia and Mexico. So missionary work is expanding across the globe, and they're creating missions because there is demand for missionaries to serve in these missions, and they can only have so many young people in each mission organization.
So we're speaking with Sarah Weaver, the editor of the Deseret News, about this announcement today that young women can start serving a full-time mission at age 18. I'm wondering, Sarah, what do you think this could mean for young women and their families?
Well, after, as Greg mentioned, the first change to missionary age in 2012, the church saw a great surge in people serving missions. In fact, within 3 weeks, the number had risen from 700 new applications a week to 4,000 per week. So young women, young men responded immediately when the opportunity was given to them to serve at a younger age. And I suspect we'll see a similar surge. Now, it won't be as big because before there was 21-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds who all were eligible. And now we're going to have those who would have served at age 19 and those who can now serve at age 18. So for a little while, we may have double the amount of sister missionaries.
Sarah, should we be surprised at all with some of the changes that President Dallin H. Oaks has already announced in the first couple of weeks, maybe months of his presidency, with respect to more missions, more missionaries, or at least the younger age? I mean, is this something where we can expect more from him?
Yeah, well, we know that President Oaks is a compassionate leader who cares very much about this demographic of young people. But, you know, when he announced new missions last month, he pretty much said these missionaries are helping to bless the lives of hundreds of thousands of people every year. And I think what he's wanting to do is just give the opportunities of the gospel of Jesus Christ to increasing numbers of people around the globe.
So, Sarah, in the last minute that we have you, I know that one of the news stories I saw through the summer was that convert baptisms for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints were, they're up. Can you talk about that really briefly?
Yeah, so at the Mission Leadership Seminar in July, Elder Quentin L. Cook of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, who's over the Missionary Executive Council for the Church, announced that from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th of this year, convert baptisms were the highest of any 12-month period in church history. And so this is a time when people are seeking something. They're looking for something more in their lives. It may be an indication of the darkness people feel in the world. And so the Church of Jesus Christ is saying, we have something that we hope people will want to hear, and people are responding to that.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News, and she also has been the editor of the Church News before her Deseret News role. So there is a big movie release today.
I'm a public figure now. People expect me to fly. Be encouraging.
We're going to talk with the movie show when we come back.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Are you getting ready for the holidays, having people over, and you've noticed that maybe when you're in group settings or in loud restaurant-type areas, you have trouble hearing or maybe catching everything that's said? Well, that means there may be something wrong with your hearing. And you don't have to go through that this holiday season because of the offer we've got from My Hearing Centers today, which is where the movie show is broadcasting live from. And we're joined by Matt Deary. Matt, I love hearing the stories about the people whose lives are changed. I mean, they don't realize, because it's usually such a gradual thing, how much it's been impacted until they get it fixed.
For sure. And, you know, I'm thinking of more of a sadder story, like a Thanksgiving story.
Don't tell me a sad story.
I know. It's another woman. She had all of her family from different parts of the country, right? And this is the first time they've been able to get together for years. And really excited and got, big Thanksgiving dinner and everyone there. But what she didn't realize is when she's in a situation where there's a lot of people,
okay,
she had a hearing loss, and she couldn't distinguish between the different conversations, and so she spent the entire time with her family there together, just sitting and not really engaging with anybody.
And that's heartbreaking.
It is, and that's kind of what tipped her off. Like, maybe I got a problem, and then she came and saw us after Thanksgiving, but it's after the party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get that party back. So
it's true.
Same thing happens. Like, if you have noticed that you have a hearing problem, call right now. We'll try to get you in as soon as possible. You'll be able to identify whether or not it's a hearing problem or something else. If it is a hearing problem, we're doing a risk-free trial through the holidays of the latest technology. You can use a little coin here for the holidays.
Ooh, I like it.
With My Hearing Centers.
And that's HEAR.
That's right.
Love it. 801-701-1629 is the number to call to set up this free hearing test and free hearing evaluation. If you do that, you're going to get some additional stuff.
That's
if you
right.
do it during the movie show and set up that appointment.
Yeah, call right now, set up the appointment. If you keep your appointment, you're on a list. Someone on that list is going to win a free set of hearing aids. And additionally, if you do have hearing loss, we'll let you try those hearing aids through the holidays.
Love it. All right, 801-701-1629. End of year, your insurance. They'll work with your insurance. They'll work it to get this so that you can have this positive life experience because of My Hearing Centers. 801-701-1629.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
So I have a kindness story for you today, and all of our kindness stories, it's so great. They're powered by One Kind Act a Day, which is a project by the Simnani Family Foundation. So people can learn more at powerofkind.org. But
these have been so fun.
They have been so fun. So this is an opportunity. What do you think of when you hear of like an angel tree? Like you can go get a name off of a tree.
Yeah, it's somebody you can give a gift to, somebody
for like
that
a
needs
kid,
a specific
right?
thing, right?
So this story caught my eye because the Salt Lake County Aging and Adult Services has a giving tree for our senior citizens, which we might qualify.
Right, yes, right.
But instead of saying, they want a toy, but there is a gift request on this tree, and this tree is on display in the Salt Lake County Government Center, the South Building atrium. So one of the issues I think that our listeners need to know is these gifts have to be back by December 1st, and so that is like the end of next week or the very beginning of the week after that, right? Right after Thanksgiving.
Though. I mean, I would be interested to see what some of the ideas are, the gift ideas that they think are appropriate for this different group. It's fun to think about that, though.
So I will tell you, so there's some of them, right? So these are about 400 different gift requests, but it can be everything from shaving items or knitting supplies.
Sure.
But there are also even requests for basic things like canned food or cleaning supplies. So those are opportunities for our listeners to go down and pick an item from a giving tree, but it will help benefit a senior citizen this year. And kids need gifts too, right? But this is an opportunity
But don't forget
to help
the seniors. Yep.
But don't forget the seniors.
How wonderful.
Yeah. That's our kindness for the day.
All right. Well, let's get to the movie, should we?
We should.
All right. We've got Andy Farnsworth and Rachel Wagner. Andy and Rachel, good morning.
Good morning.
So we have a shortened show today. thanks to you all, and we're happy to hear that. You sound like there's some excitement going on just from what I heard from you guys a minute ago. Where are you, and what are we talking about today?
Well, we're at My Hearing Centers today, and yes, there is excitement because this is the first huge movie of the Thanksgiving season. We usually get a few big ones between Thanksgiving and then on Christmas a bunch of others. This is like the second summer movie season where the studios save some of their big titles. And Wicked for Good, the sequel to last year's smash hit Wicked. It's the second half of the one story. If you've seen it on Broadway, you've seen the story for both Wicked and Wicked for Good. But they broke it up into 2 movies, and now it is a 5-hour combined extravaganza, which some people actually watched in theaters yesterday. They showed Wicked and then immediately followed it with Wicked for Good. So they were in theaters for 5+ hours, being soaked in the music of Stephen Schwartz.
Stephen Schwartz, yeah. Don't worry.
Well, if they were soaked in the Stephen Sondheim music, they were in the wrong movie.
So, Andy, when you say it's a huge movie, does that mean we're expected to have big box office success?
Oh
Yes.
yeah. It's gonna be very successful.
This might end up being the best opening weekend of the year for a
Really?
single movie. Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's how
Interesting.
how much. Well, I mean, you can also tell the excitement behind a movie by how many commercials you see for it and how many things that promote the movie that aren't actually commercials, but you see companies that you'd never seem associate with.
Do not try the Wicked cereal. That was a bad choice on my part.
My kids ate the Wicked Hostess cupcakes. You have pink and you have green.
Oh, wow.
That my daughter says was an improvement on the actual Hostess cupcakes. So there is a little bit of something there. But what we've got here is the second half of the story. Now, did you see the first half, either of you?
I did, for sure, saw the first half. And I found it, I've never seen it on Broadway, so I don't know how the resolution ends up happening. But I was a little bit sad, actually, with how mean people were to Elphaba. Yeah.
Then you might not like this second one. Because
I figured maybe. I mean, I know the Wizard of Oz story in general, right? So.
Well, and this is the one that finally crosses over with the story that
and
you're
they did
familiar
a
with.
lot of crossover.
Yes, more even than the stage version.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, Rachel, if you liked the first one, are you going to like the 5-hour combo meal?
I think so.
I know my wife and her daughter would do.
Yeah.
If I told them that it's a 5 hours, they're
But it's 5 hours if you watch both parts 1
That's
and 2.
what I
at the
mean,
same
right?
time.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I don't think they should have divided it into 2 movies. I think it exposed the weaknesses of the second act of that musical. But I still think there's enough good to enjoy.
And here's the thing. The most famous, popular songs, if you will, are in the first half. The title for the movie is called For Good because that's the big finale number. And that is, of course, excellently done, and it wraps up sort of the whole thing emotionally. But the other songs in the second half are not nearly as well known by people who aren't already fans of the musical, who don't own the soundtrack already.
Yeah, and the 2 new songs, especially one of them, not that great.
Oh,
See, I thought they were okay. I thought they were all right.
The Bubble song?
Yeah, it's like emotional. And, okay, now I'll be fair. The Bubble song, there are some amazing camera shots and camera work for that. I will say that. So I was wrapped up in, that's really cool. Like, they made it look like she's looking in the mirror, but then suddenly she's on it all in this one take.
Oh.
And I think for the iconic moments of Act 2, it did deliver. I think the people that are going, they want the For Good, they want As Long As You're Mine, they want to, these things.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. And all those I thought were effective moments.
But
scenes.
If you're somebody who's a casual fan, like I was thinking of my 12-year-old daughter who hadn't seen the play on Broadway. My 18-year-old had. So she was already excited for the whole thing. She loves the whole story. I do believe fans will be satisfied.
I agree.
It's the people who are like, what's this thing that everybody's talking about? They'll go and I think they're going to leave this one a little different. Younger fans who had fun watching the first one, we're going to watch this one and maybe feel like, wait, what?
And if you didn't like the first one, then don't bother.
Oh,
you were not.
that's fair.
This is not going to win you over.
Yeah.
Well, I did like it. I just was like, they're mean. They're mean.
They are
to
mean.
her.
And in this one, that continues, because at this point, the wizard is now trying to convince all of Oz that the Wicked Witch is horrible and Glinda is the only one who can stop her. So it becomes as much, even though they are still, friends with each other and each one hopes to reconcile, but the PR machine is beyond either of their ability to stop it.
Sounds like politics today. So okay.
A lot of propaganda is definitely
Okay, so Rachel, I don't. didn't see the first one. I haven't seen the Broadway musical, but I will confess to something. I am a huge Wizard of Oz fan. Given that, would I appreciate these movies?
I don't know. I think that the
Are they
tie-ins
just
to
different?
Wizard of Oz don't really work that well. If you can appreciate something that's like more fan fiction-y, that's kind of how it feels, like sort of Wizard of Oz fan fiction.
I would say, how married are you to the idea of the Wicked Witch being the horrible evil?
Yeah.
If you love that, then you might not like Wicked.
Well, I mean, you think about it and you're like, this really does not make sense with her behavior in The Wizard of Oz. Like, I mean,
There you
she's
go,
so
right.
mean to Toto and I mean
Right.
everything.
That little bicycle. Right.
All right. What's your question for us?
Well, and it is based a little bit on Wicked, but this applies really well. What is the best movie that's completely different from the book on which it is based? Because the Wicked book that this originally started as, very different than the movie, very different from the stage play, too, to a large extent.
I mean, it's really, the only thing is it tells the other side of the Wicked Witch, but that's it. What actually happens to her is completely different in the book.
So, what's a great movie that's really different from the source material?
Mine's actually a trilogy, and it was The Hobbit, because the book is there's not 12 hours worth of movie
That's a fair point.
in the book, right? So I really enjoyed the trilogy, and I've got daughters who are like, was it Killy and Philly, and they're like, oh my gosh, right? They're so awesome, but that actually wasn't part of the book.
I want to give you props because I think the creation of Azog the Defiler is one of the greatest bad guy names ever invented. Because he's not in the book at all, but I was
You're
like,
right.
that's an awesome name.
Yeah, you're right. So that's mine for me.
Okay,
All
so
right, what about Greg?
Mine is The Natural, and I'll tell you why. The movie ends with the most exciting scene. He hits the home run. He turns down the bribe. He's injured. He's bleeding. I mean, he knocks the lights out of the stadium. In the book, he strikes out. He takes the bribe. He's
Oh my gosh.
disgraced, and it's like, they couldn't be more. I mean, when I read the book, I'm like, no, I wish I had never looked at this book. The movie is great.
I am so with you on that one, too.
Yeah. Don't-
Say it ain't so, Roy.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not in the
right.
movie,
Yes,
thankfully.
right. The mighty Casey has struck out.
Yeah.
All right, Rach, what's yours?
I would go with The Princess Bride. I think the whole setup of the grandpa reading the story, I just think works so well in the movie, and the book is just really smug and annoying, and I did not care for it. I thought that the movie is a big upgrade.
All
For
right,
me,
well, go ahead,
Willy
Andy. You got
Wonka
15
and-
seconds.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Fair.
There you go.
Fair.
Good answer. Well, we'll turn the time over now to the KSL Movie Show. Holly and I will be back here Monday morning for more on Inside Sources. Stay tuned with Andy Farnsworth and Rachel Wagner on the KSL Movie Show.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Adam Small with a look at our top stories this hour. A recount is getting underway in Park City today to finally decide who will be the city's new mayor. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Only 7 votes currently stand between Jack Rubin and Park City Councilor Ryan Dickey at the end of the official count for the mayoral race, with Dickey in the lead. The Park Record reports Rubin asked for the recount 2 days after the results were certified and a day before the recount deadline. They should be finished by the middle of next week. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
We're learning police arrested a man accused of following and assaulting a pregnant woman in a fit of road rage. Ogden police say Larry Daly pulled in front of the victim and the victim yelled at him, so he followed her. The probable cause statement from police says when she stopped, Daly's accused of opening her door and pushing her down into her car. An adult passenger and 3 kids saw it all happen. Daly allegedly admitted to following the woman but denied the assault. Our top national story this